Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. So you guys might have saw my video from Monday where I talked about my last skill list video, the last time I was going to play skill list for probably the foreseeable future. Now, I went to my first locals yesterday with Towa, a deck I was really excited to build, and I finally got all the Vegetas from the Richmond Regional. If you guys go to the regional events, it is actually pretty plus because you get the pack of the stamped regional cards, which are the stamped champ pack cards, and they go for like, the Vegeta I think goes for like $100. So for a free entry, if you're going to PPG or even like a $30 entry, it's pretty worth because you're at least making $70 back if you can flip the pack, or you can just get your hands on a free Vegeta, which is pretty nice. So I did play Towa at this locals yesterday. I did win the locals, which is pretty sick. I'm going to go into a full tournament report and play guide on my Patreon, which is going to be also going up today. I'm going to go over the full deck profile for you guys today, give you the full deck breakdown. But if you guys want to help support the channel, it does really help. Just $1 a month. You guys can see all the articles I post throughout the week. 2 articles a week, very competitive stuff. I'm going to give you an in-depth guide how to play Towa. But with that being said, if you guys are new to the channel, also make sure to hit the subscribe button. Maybe hit that like button if you are a fan of the video. But we are going to go fully in-depth into the deck profile so you guys can get every single card choice. This is updated for set 7. So this is like a post-ban list. My locals is already playing post-ban list because there's really no reason not to at this point since there's no major events coming up by us before the ban list drops. So you're going to notice like no Killie Zone in this deck. You don't really need it because obviously it's banned. So this is post-ban list. And this is also going to kind of project what I think the format's going to look like. Like obviously you don't need Cronoa anymore. That's not going to be a card you're going to play off Toki Toki anymore. So we do have 2 Dende New to the Job, which is something that not every build is playing in the main deck. And we also have No Escape Son Goku, which is a card that not most people are playing in the main deck. I'm including the one No Escape Son Goku just because it is an additional Toki Toki target and it helps you against those random UI rogue decks, right? Like Dende UI or Blue Dende UI or Oob UI where they're trying to just go into that ginormous triple striker on like turn 2, turn 3. The one of No Escape is nice for that. I don't really think you need to side deck more because you can put it back into the deck with your like Vegeta time regulator and things like that. So on the state of Towa in general, I know obviously it is a meta deck, like it appears in the meta pretty frequently. I feel like it's a very, very strong anti-meta deck. And as long as things like Broly Head of Mastery and Vegeta are popular in the format, I think that Towa is going to have a pretty strong presence. Because honestly, you do have a pretty good Vegeta matchup. You just always keep an energy up. You always just like stop them from triple attacking you, which is dope. Or, I mean, you typically aren't going to stop the triple attack. You're going to stop the triple strike or the crit, depending on the situation. But it is really good. And then Broly Head of Mastery, you do have the way to answer Path of Greatness, remove barrier off path, and then remove it or steal it. That is pretty solid. So, with that being said, we'll get right into the deck profile. We've got 4 Power Burst. This is more of a control deck. I'm not really comfortable playing less than 4 negates in this deck. I would not play Time's Judgment. I don't think that card is very good in terms of having to pitch 2 to get it back for more negates. The idea of having more negates is kind of neat, but you're not going to have the largest hand in Towa, so I don't think it's really that necessary. So I'd keep it to 4 Power Burst. You also have some other counterplays in the deck, which we'll get to in a minute. We've got 2 Kami, 2 Dende, and the 1 No Escape as our Toki Toki package, and obviously the 2 Toki Toki. So this is something that I see tossed up between either this package or the 1-drop Adventure Begins Son Goku package with a few Dragon Balls. Now, I do see the merit to that because you can steal the Goku in the skillless matchup and just get free pluses off of it, but I don't really like that because if you're not playing in skillless, it's basically a dead engine. Like it is a +1 every turn, but I do kind of prefer the Toki Toki to get me the Kami or get me the Dende or the No Escape Son Goku for the certain situation that you need them for, right? Like I've found Dende New to the Job to actually be very, very good against Shenron Gogeta. It's actually very helpful because you need to just get a few turns later in the game, and the longer the game goes for you, the more beneficial, the better your game plan is going to go, basically. So I like Toki Toki package. Not a huge fan of the skillless package, just my opinion. Then we have Supreme Kai of Time Disruptor. This is the 1-drop counterplay that halts all 2 drops and less from attacking for 2 turns. This card is incredible. Worst case scenario, it's just draw 1. Best case scenario, you're stopping skillless from going off. You're stopping any swap shenanigans from going off. Big fan. Supreme Kai of Tai super combo. We have the Vegeta time regulator. Honestly, the deck still seems powerful even when you don't open this card, as weird as it might sound. Like the card is integral to the deck. It helps you maintain advantage on your awakened side. But even games where you don't see it, if you just play control the right way, if you really dictate your opponent's moves, which Towa is pretty good at letting you do, you're gonna be okay. Relentless Destruction Mira, in my opinion, one of the best turn 1 plays you can get. You just want to make your opponent ditch a card, especially when you're going first. Set up your warp so you can start getting ready to awaken, and then pass turn. Dark Absorption Mira. This is a card that not everyone might be familiar with, so only 2 of this in the deck because I do think it is a little bit inferior to Self-Reformation, but it's an Overwhelm 3, so one of the problems is it does take up your Overwhelm for the turn, and then it's a Unit Absorb 4, so same as the Self-Reformation, you get the 1 Towa from your Warp, put it under this guy, and then you get to play a Mira from your hand or Warp. So this is nice when you're not able to get Vegeta on board and get your Towas back in, get your Miras back into the deck, or if you have a Mira stuck in your hand, you can get it onto the board, which is nice. I like this a little bit more for late game stuff. Like if this is going to be my second Mira of the game, which is not very uncommon, I do like this in those types of situations. And also, what you can do is, since it does also summon the Mira in active mode, you can use your leader effect, give it the crit, swing for a 15 crit, and then play the Mira, make them warp 3, swing for a ginormous double strike they're probably going to be forced to take unless they negate it. Long-winded, we'll keep moving on. Revived Ravager Vegeta. I like this card as a 2 of in the deck. I don't think you need it in the sideboard that much, but I do like a 2 of in the deck because it can help you awaken faster. Like playing this on a turn 1 or turn 2, you're going to have 3 in your drop for next turn, and then by the time you overwhelm, you're almost guaranteed to awaken turn 2, turn 3, if whatever you need to or want to do. Usually in this deck, in most matchups, you don't need to awaken until turn 3, the earliest. And most matchups, I try to awaken turn 4, but this card does help for that. It's also a 15k crit on its own, which is kind of nice. Even in a weird situation, like if you have absolutely nothing to do on a turn, you can hard cast this guy, and he's going to be a 3-drop 15k crit that sticks. For our Towa lineup, we have 2 Time Ruler and 4 Umbral Invitation Towa. Shout out Scott Dashy on this. He kind of gave me the logic on this, where in most matchups, the Umbral Invitation is going to be almost strictly better, and it sticks to the board, so it's a 15k beta that sticks, and it steals more stuff. So it's a little bit better than Time Ruler Towa. They're both the same 4 requirement overwhelm. The Towa does require the 1 energy, but normally it's not going to be a big issue. So the 4-2 split, I am a big fan of. 2 Mass Sand. I know not a lot of people play this in the main deck, but I really like it. Helps with the skillless matchup. Helps with random just 1-drop rush aggro or 1-drop weenie decks. I'm a big fan of it. It's really good against Announcer as well, actually. So I'm a big fan of Mass Sand. I'm always a fan of removal in my decks, so you'll see that this build might have a little bit more removal than most decks. For Mira Self-Reformation, the main play of the deck with the Towa Absorb into the big Mira. Dimensional Banisher Fu at 4. This card's incredible, especially in the Vegeta matchup where you're just able to remove their dragons from the board, and they can't recur them because they obviously can't World Peace from the Warp, and the card's super incredible, super incredibly good. Mira Creator Absorbed. Playing it through Union is the best way to play it, especially with Battering Laser being banned. This is just such an incredible game ender and such an incredible tempo play. Like, even if you don't end a game with it, just going Union Absorb, your opponent warps 3, your leader gives it crit for a ginormous double strike. That's absolutely huge and absolutely busted. And in this build, you guys are going to see my sideboard I got for the moment. Dark Power, Black Mass Sand. This is for the Chain Zeno matchup mostly. But other than that, you have other random matchups like in the future, going past set 7, be like Shenron Veggies, random things like that. This card's a really good sideboard. You could even maybe find a space for the 3rd if you feel like you really needed it. Mercenary Tau, like I mentioned before, Towa does have a slight issue with hand size, so we want to make sure we're covered for those hand control matchups like Slug and things like that. Haru, obviously very good against Broly Height of Mastery. Like the same idea against Vegeta, you're just kind of stalling them out, not giving them a safe turn to either triple strike you with Height, or you're trying to just remove the Path of Greatness. Haru just helps you put on free crit pressure against those decks. It is pretty strong. Crisis Crusher Son Goku. This can eat up a height swing. This can eat up a victory strike swing. It's also pretty decent against decks like Vegeta Baby, where they get their baby monkey on board. You play this into it. It's a 20k barrier, so they're still going to draw one off their ape, but you can play this to not lose a battle card, and then you can go into something like Dimensional Banisher Fu to clean it up, and then you have 2 big 20k swings after you just cleared their boss monster, which is really solid. Then we have Trunks Power Overseeing Time. So this is really good for a few reasons. 1, it's an aggressive overwhelm because it is a 20k double strike. 2, you have Tien Shinhan Returning Fire in the deck. So basically, this is going to be a way you can loop and recycle these. So in the Janemba matchup, you can loop the Trunks Overseeing Time with any Tien you play throughout the duration of the game. In this deck, the weird thing is there are a lot of good sideboard cards. Like I really like the Dark Power Black Mass Sand. I really like Tien Shinhan. I would almost want to play a 4th Mercenary Tau, but of course your side deck is only limited to 15 cards, and every single one plays a pretty important role. I could see dropping one of the Deadly Defender Son Gokus to maybe fit the 3rd Dark Power or the 3rd Tien, but it kind of depends what your local meta looks like, and if you're taking this to an event like a regional, it kind of depends what the meta landscape looks like at any given point in time. So overall, I'm a big fan of the list. I just won a locals with it last night. Played against Shenron Gogeta. Played against Broly Head of Mastery. Just to name a few decks. I'm going to go over that more in the Patreon tournament report and pretty much how to play guide. So, guys, if you're interested in that, the link is going to be in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Joey. This is Crosswell TCG, and I'll see you guys in the next video.